All right, let's start our last session here. And I think we'll have Brother PJ come and help me for just a moment. He does not know anything about this. But
I'm in trouble.
yes, you're in trouble.
Always.
So we need to look out over this audience, and I need 4 men to help me with something.
All right.
So that way, if there's any problems here, it's his fault, not mine. Okay. So see, from different age groups here, four people that could come up here and help me with something.
All right. So we'll have Brother Dukeshire.
Is he be hiding here?
Brother John Schuster. Brother Jim. And how many?
One more.
Brother Seth. He was looking that way. You didn't want to.
Okay. Can you help me work? I'll set this over here.
All right.
This
right here.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. All right, let's settle over there a little bit more. All right, guys, if you just get in a straight line here beside me, our next thought is this. We need to adjust our attitude. Attitude is so important as a teacher, someone who serves a ministry. Our attitude, we display our attitude. So we'll have a little fun here, okay? Is that okay if we have a little fun? Sure. All right, is it okay if we laugh a little? All right, so let's get in a straight line, guys. We need a little bit of room. Come on over here. There we go. Just get in a straight line. We're just going to have a little fun here and work on our attitude. All right. All I want you to do is repeat after me. In just a moment, I just want you to repeat after me, and we'll just have some fun here. Okay. Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
No, we'll do it one at a time. Okay. All right. Sorry. Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
Hi, your name is Prince Charming.
No, your name.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming, and I recently went to Paris, France, and I bought a fan that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming, and I recently went to France, and I got a fan that goes something like this.
Yes. No, your fan, continue working. Your fan, yes.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming, and I recently went to France, and I bought a fan that does something like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France and bought a fan that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming, and I went to France, and I recently bought a fan that goes like this.
Very good. All right. It's a good attitude so far, right? Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that goes like this and a pair of scissors that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France, and I bought a fan that goes like this and a pair of scissors that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France. I bought a fan that does something like this, and a pair of scissors that does something like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France and bought a fan that goes like this, and I bought a pair of scissors that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming, and I recently went to France, and I bought a fan that goes like this, and a pair of scissors that goes like this.
Some scissors aren't working that well over here. Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that goes like this, a pair of scissors that goes like this, and a horse that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France. I bought a fan.
I went to Paris, France. I don't know what part of France you went to, but I went to Paris, France.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that does something like this, a pair of scissors that does this, and a horse that does this. I ride a horse. Yeah.
Good job.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that does something like this, a pair of scissors that does something like this, and bought a horse
that goes like this.
That goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that goes like this, a pair of scissors that goes like this, and a horse that goes like this.
Yeah. Yes. Your horse isn't working very good. Let's get that horse working. All right, there we go.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France. I bought a fan that goes like this, and a pair of scissors that goes like this, and a horse that goes like this.
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France, bought a fan that goes like this, a pair of scissors that goes like this, a horse that goes like this, and a bird that goes cuckoo! Cuckoo! Cuckoo!
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to France. I bought a fan that goes something like this. A pair of scissors that goes like this, and a horse that I ride, and it looks like this. And a cuckoo clock that went cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Hi, I'm Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that does something like this. A pair of scissors that does this. A horse that goes like this. And a cuckoo clock that goes cuckoo. Hi, my name is...
Whoa. Your bird's not working here.
I bought a dead bird.
No. Cuckoo. There we go.
Hi, my name is Prince.
Cuckoo. A bird? No, up here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Prince Charming. Went to Paris, France. Bought a fan that goes like this. A pair of scissors that goes like this. And a horse that goes like this. And a cuckoo clock that goes
Hi, my name is Prince Charming. I recently went to Paris, France. I bought a fan that goes like this, a pair of scissors goes like this, a horse that goes like this, a bird that goes cuckoo, and I met a bunch of nuts acting like this. You finished. Good job, guys.
Now I'm in trouble.
That's a workout. Teaching can be fun. And if you go into the classroom with the right attitude, good eye contact, a smile on your face, and it's amazing what can happen in your classroom. Thank you guys for helping us illustrate about having a good attitude, have a positive attitude, and thank you for volunteering so graciously for that. We need to adjust our attitude by God's grace. There needs to be a time when we understand that it truly is not about me, it's about God. How many of you are thankful for your salvation this morning? Amen. I am so thankful. I marvel. My dad had 8 brothers and sisters. I mentioned earlier that all 8 of them have been married and divorced. Every one of them. Every one of my dad's 8 brothers and sisters are alcoholics. I have many cousins, obviously, within those 8. Not one single cousin is a Christian. Oh, there's been witnessing, and there's been, once I moved away from West Virginia, went to college, I'm not as connected with my cousins as I once was, and the only time I ever see them now is around a funeral, and I haven't done that in years. But every one of my cousins are alcoholics or divorced, struggling. And yet you have 8 on this side and 1 on this side, and the wonderful, amazing grace of God reached down. The gospel was presented. 2 people believed. But there's more to the story than I've already told you. So let me tell you about Ruth. Her name is Ruth Ann Fetty. People called her Ruth. Ruth was just married to a guy that was an upholsterer. His name was Bill. And Ruth, she just had a simple job. She was a receptionist. She answered the phone. Ruth saw Bonnie at the grocery store. Bonnie is my mother. And Ruth met my mother at a grocery store. And she had what they called a gospel tract. And she gave that to my mom and said, there's there's going to be what is called a crusade, and there's this preacher named Dr. Ron Comfort who's coming to preach this citywide crusade. And all the Baptist churches got together there in Fairmont, West Virginia. And my mom said, no, not interested, not interested. But Ruth got my mom's phone number. And I already established what my mom was like, her language, the alcohol, the smoking. Mom was, by Christian standards, unlovely. But Ruth, she kept after my mom. Next week, the crusade. Next week, you need to come to this. And she kept pestering my mom. And finally, my mom said, okay, I'll go. And then you've heard the other part of the story. My mom heard the gospel for the first time, and she trusted Christ. Now, you've seen one side of the story as I've talked about my family. But I ask you this, what if there was never a Ruth? The hero of our family story is not my dad and my mom and them taking me to church. The hero is little Ruth Ann Fetty. Ruth was just a receptionist. Her husband owned her own business. He reupholstered chairs. They weren't rich. They didn't have a lot. But Ruth's attitude was such that she couldn't help but tell other people about Jesus Christ. The hero of our family story goes all the way back to Ruth. And Ruth believed in God's grace, and it was shown in her attitude. If you really understand the grace of God and what He saved you from, what He has preserved you in your life from, the times that the devil could have devoured you and God said, no, stay away from my son or my daughter. The times that something bad could have happened to you and you don't even know about it, but God's grace spared you. How can we not but have a positive attitude? It doesn't matter what your personality is like. We can have different personalities. We had four different personalities, or 5. Counting myself, I had 5 different personalities up here. And here's the thing. It's our attitude. How is it that we can stand in front of students with a down attitude, a negative attitude, if we understand God's grace? In the Armstrong family, it's a miracle of God that out of 9 children, one of them was plucked from the ravages of hell, and 3 children, and now the grandchildren. So there's a first generation, my mom and dad. We're second generation. Our children are third generation. Our grandchildren are now fourth generation. 4 generations of Christians. Well, the grandchildren aren't saved yet, but 4 generations. A clear difference than my dad's other 8 brothers and sisters. And it's one lady that had the courage to have the positive attitude to make a difference with my mom. Never underestimate what you can do. Ruth's long been in heaven, but I just wonder how many awards that she has in heaven that she's going to lay back at her Savior's feet because she was faithful. A nobody. By the word's definition, a nobody. But here, every time someone gets saved in Brent's ministry or Dawn's ministry or Paula's ministry, I believe that fruit goes all the way back to Ruth because she was faithful. Who is it that maybe you're dismissive of? Don't have time. Who is it that you meet them and you say, the Holy Spirit knocks on your heart and says, I need to talk to them? Has that ever happened to you? There's been times that it's so unmistakable that I've been on an airplane, and there are times that someone puts their earbuds in and there's never an opportunity to speak to them. The door is shut before you ever take off. And there's other times when that person just wants to talk to someone, and you have an opportunity to talk to them. Let me tell you about a Muslim man. We were flying on United Airlines. That's who I usually fly on. I was flying in United, and I was sitting in 1C, and he was in 1D. And then we got to talking, and he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I pastor a church." And he said, well, how interesting. What is it like to pastor a church? He goes, I'm a Muslim. I said, you're from the Middle East. He said, what country do you think I'm from? I said, looks like you're from Morocco. And he goes, how did you know that? As soon as I said Morocco, and I got it right the first time, that was of the Lord, he was like, okay, I'm going to listen. And we talked. The flight was 1 hour and 6 minutes from Los Angeles over to Tucson. Everyone around us must have been tired of listening to us talk because the lights are dimmed. It's a nighttime flight. And we talked the entire 1 hour and 6 minutes. And in this Muslim man, I got to share the gospel message with him. He didn't get saved then, but that was 3 years ago, we still email each other. And you know what? I believe he's going to get saved. All because there was an opportunity, the Spirit, it's like, talk to him. If you've ever had that happen, it's unmistakable, and you can't get away from it, and you try to be distracted, and then your heart's beating fast, and it's like this inner voice is saying, talk to him, talk to her. I was leaving the hospital in Anderson, South Carolina, and I've already established how much I love going to the hospital. So I was there. I was leaving the hospital for making a hospital visit. I got in, and there's this teenage girl. She's sitting on the curb. She's about 6-7 inches off the ground. She's sitting there. She's crying, and I said, I'm okay. But I was busy. I had things to do, and I walked all the way to my truck, and my heart's beating fast. Go talk to her. You need to go talk with her. It was unmistakable. The Holy Spirit was telling me, I need to stop what I'm doing. I need to go talk to this. My attitude was this. I got things to do. I'm a pastor, I got things to do at the church. So I get in my truck, and I actually pull out on the street, North Fan Street, and I'm driving back to the church. Hearts, you need to go talk to her. You need to go talk to her. All right. I turn around, inconvenienced. Who's this Holy Spirit thing telling me what to do? My attitude is not that great. So I turn around, I pull back in. She's still there. She's crying. I went down over and I sat down on the curb. I said, hi, I'm Pastor Armstrong. It looks like you're having a rough day. How can I help you? And she says, my boyfriend was in an accident. Serious head injuries. They don't know if he's going to make it. He's in surgery. I don't have any family. I don't have anyone to turn to. I don't know what to do. Pastor, what church? And I told her, Oakwood Baptist Church. And she's like, God must have sent you, because I was talking to God just saying, please send somebody by. Ooh. Okay, well, I'm not convicted here at all. So, and so we got to talking. And I got to lead her to the Lord. Right there. About a week later, her boyfriend, I got to lead him to the Lord. As soon as he was in ICU, got out of ICU, stepped down, got to lead him to the Lord. And they were living together, not married. I got to see him get married. I also got to see them come to our church. I ask you, what if I had not listened to the Holy Spirit? I don't know what their future would have been, but I would say probably they wouldn't be saved today because I missed that opportunity, and who knows what would have happened. But sometimes our attitude is just not understanding of God's grace. Let me give you one more story. I was in China. I've had the privilege to travel all over the world. I've been to 53 countries and I've spoken literally all over the world and in countless opportunities. I've been to China 31 times. I've been all over China. And that's a whole other story, but it's a God thing how that the Chinese government actually signed me to 2 5-year contracts to speak in their schools. But I was in China, and I was in a town called Yichang, and I was visiting a teacher there that was an American teacher that had graduated from our Christian school and been through college, and she was now serving in China, but as a teacher. I took my oldest son Benjamin with me, and so we traveled throughout China. I spoke many times. We went to Yichang. I spoke in the school there, and lots of television cameras, and it was a big deal. I spoke to 3,200 students in the school about living a moral life. I'm not allowed to speak as a Christian, but I was able to speak about living a moral life. And then afterwards, one of the Chinese teacher said, would you be willing this weekend to go to my village and be able to hold a church service in our village? There's only 5 people in the church, and all 5 of them are ladies, and it would just be great if you could go. Well, we actually were supposed to be there 3 days, and so we rearranged our schedule, and we said, of course, we would love to do this. And so my son and I, the English teacher, and the Chinese teacher, 4 of us, we got on a bus in Yichang, and we began to drive to the Wuhan province. And then we went from a bus to a smaller bus to a van. We went from a van to a taxi. And then finally we got to her village, and there was 4 motorcycles waiting for us. And so we all 4 got on the back of a motorcycle, and we went to her town, to her house. Well, we were unprepared for what we were getting ourselves into. We went completely blind faith. We're doing this. This was an adventure. We pull in 4 motorcycles, and we pull into the barn that they live. Right in the middle of the rice field. Rice fields as far as you could see. Her mom and dad were rice farmers, and they had a barn in the middle of the rice field. 2 great big doors that opened up, and so we get there, and her mom and dad were so excited. And of course, everything's in Chinese, and they're talking Chinese 90 miles a minute. And my son and I, we're just looking around, and we're enjoying this, and it's blazing hot. The humidity is something else, and just rice fields and water and heat and humidity, and it's uncomfortable. Well, we have the opportunity to see the farm. It's an outhouse, no running water. We walk into the backyard, and there's a well, and so there are chickens everywhere. I could relate to those chickens, but the well's in the middle of the chicken pen, and you looked into the well. There's no covering on the well, and it's a nasty looking water. It's almost like it's toxic water that they would draw out of there, and they had to boil their water. And as I was whispering to Benjamin, "Don't drink the water, don't drink the water." This isn't looking good. Well, in China, numbers are everything. Like our number 7 represents perfection. Their number 8 is their most special number. In fact, if you've ever flown to China, almost every one of your flights is going to have an 8 in the number, no matter what airline you fly. Like United from San Francisco to Beijing is 888, and coming back it's 887. So 8 is their most prized number. Well, 12 is a number for honored guests. So you fix 12 dishes whenever you have a guest. And the guest of honor always sits facing the door. So his back would be everything, and he would be facing the door. So they fix a feast, 12 dishes. I don't know what most of the food was. It was 12 different dishes. And the sun began to set. And the mosquitoes come up out of the rice fields. The mosquitoes were like helicopters. You could hear them before you ever saw them. They were big old mosquitoes. And so they closed the doors, and once they closed the door, then it was dark. There's no running water. Guess what else there is not? There's no electricity. So they bring out the candles. And so they light the candles, and so we were eating by candlelight. And it was an adventure. It was fun. It was awesome. It was amazing. And so then we got through, and of course everything's being translated. It's bath time. I said, well, this ought to be interesting. So we're in, it's double doors. It's just a threshing floor, rough concrete. We're all sitting in chairs that are meant for kids. They're little tiny chairs. We're little tiny chairs, but that's what the Chinese sit on. And so, our knees are up like this, and we're sitting on the chairs. And I was like, Mira, and she was Chinese and English. And I said, what does bath time mean? She goes, oh, don't worry about it. And so the mother of the house, she brings out a wash basin and has a towel over, and she brings it to me. I said, Mira, what am I supposed to do with this? She says, you're supposed to wash your feet and wash your hands. I said, okay, my feet's okay. We're only spending one night. We'll be okay. I don't see any place to shower. We'll be okay. She says, you offend my mom and dad. You've got to take a bath. I said, okay. So there's actually pictures and video of this. So I take off my shoes and socks, and the water was boiling. I put my foot, I burned my toes. And so we waited until it cooled down a little bit. And then so I washed my feet. I was the guest of honor. And I washed my neck and my hands, and then it went to my son. He washed his feet and neck and hands. Then it went to Mary Beth, the English teacher. Then it went to Mira, 4 people now. Then it went to the husband, or the dad of the Chinese teacher, and then it went to the mom. 6 of us took a bath out of 1 basin of water. Praise the Lord, I was the guest of honor. So then it was dark. There was nothing to do. We sang some songs, and but I'm sure it sounded fantastic. I'm quite sure of that. Then it was time to go to bed. Now, I already established where were we? We're in a barn. They had taken this like a stall. Where the 100-pound bags of rice, they had taken all the bags of rice out of it, and they had put 2 boards. Boards were about 12, maybe 15 inches wide on 2 blocks. So Benjamin, my son, had a board, and I had a board. That was our bed. I have pictures of it. No pillow, no blanket. We just had a board. All right, another adventure. So we get in there. There's no clothes to change because I'm sleeping with my clothes on. And so we just lay down on the board. And we blow out the candle. And about 15 minutes later, I hear my son go, Dad, I'm having an asthma attack. He tried his inhaler. My son is really allergic to a lot of things and cause asthma attacks. And so all of those rice particles that were in the air, he began to breathe, because once the door was shut, we were confined into this little stall, and he goes into full-blown asthma attack. Now, I've already established that we are in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere. There's nothing to do. It's pitch black. I cannot see the hand in front of my face. It is so dark. And I reach over, and he's on a board right there beside me. He's slathered in sweat. He's soaking wet. He cannot breathe. Dad, help me, Dad. And I began to pray over Benjamin. I said, God, you've got to help. I don't know what to do. Lord, I don't know what to do. There's no hospital. There's nothing. I don't know what to do. I began to pray. And he had tried his inhaler. His inhaler didn't work. We had a bottle of water. We had about that much water left in it. And then I remembered that I had this upper respiratory tract infection medicine that I brought with me. That's the only thing I could think of. And I said, God, I fumbled in my backpack. I found that pill, and I prayed over that pill. I remember, God, this has got to save him. And this is all happening very quickly. I said, Benjamin, there, take this. And he took the pill, and he just barely breathing. And then finally this, he's breathing just a little bit better. And so, I don't know what time it is at that point. I got my hand on him. I'm just praying over him. I'm just begging God to save his life. I don't know what to do. Everyone speaks Chinese. There's no hospital. God, this is on you. You've got to help out here. So about an hour later, I hear him, he's worn out, exhausted, he falls asleep. I'm not sleeping. My adrenaline level's off the charts. I'm still praying over him. And I hear this. I go, oh no. If that's the dog trying to get in, he is deathly allergic to dogs. If that dog gets in here, it's all over. Now, so I said, what do I do? That's so dark, I can't see anything. I remember I have a camera. So I fumble in my bag, I find my camera, and I turn it on, and I point it at the door. And my worst nightmare in all of my life came true. Hanging from the door is this snake swinging back and forth. And it had caught a moth, and I turn the camera around, and I fumble, and I take a picture of that snake. Still have that picture as it's swinging back and forth in the doorway. I said, forget about Benjamin. Lord, can you please help that son come on up? I was going to die now. I am deathly afraid of snakes. Even talking about snakes, it makes my skin crawl. I am terrified of snakes. And there's going to be someone here who tells me, I love snakes. I have a pet snake. God bless you, whatever. But anyway, the snake is hanging back and forth. And I'm watching this, and I have the camera there, and I take a picture, and then I see it slither back up into the beam up there. And then, he's sleeping, and I am absolutely flipping out. I didn't get a minute of sleep. Every time there was a noise, I am paralyzed moving. The sun finally comes up, so it's gray, soupy gray, and I can see the floor, and I go out. I went outside. I was terrified, and my attitude is really bad right now. Like, if I can be honest with you, my attitude is bad. Finally, Benjamin gets up. He is so sick. He is sicker than a dog. He gets out there and he just sits outside and he's like completely lethargic. He's really, if you know anything about asthma, he is drained. I had to carry his backpack. He could barely walk when we finally left. And so I'm sitting outside. I remember this as clear as if it happened yesterday. I'm kicking the rocks. I'm sitting on a stump. I'm kicking the rocks, and I'm having a pity party. God, why did you bring us all the way here? Benjamin almost dies. He is so sick. We got to get him some help. And that snake, I haven't slept all night. What are you doing, God? I think that's a legitimate prayer. I was upset about this. Well, fast forward a couple hours, we've eaten cold leftovers from last night. I wasn't hungry, but out of respect, I ate a couple things. Benjamin didn't eat anything. He stayed outside. He's really sick. Mira, you're not going to believe what happened last night. There was a snake in our room. She goes, oh yeah, that Mom and Dad, don't touch that snake. Mom and Dad, that snake keeps the rats away. Mom and Dad know all about that snake. You live on purpose with a snake that just runs through your... It's just like, it was no big deal. So now it's time for our church service. And the 4 ladies from the village come and they're barefoot, or some of them were wearing flip-flops, a couple of them barefoot. They sit in the chairs that we were sitting. The man of the house, he's out working in the field. So it's 5 Chinese ladies, the English teacher, the Chinese teacher, and me, and then my son Benjamin, he's outside. So it's just a small group of people here. And Mira, the Chinese teacher, says, Pastor, are you ready for church service now? Yeah, whatever. So... okay, yeah, I'm ready. So, church service, I'm really ready for a church service. That's my attitude. I was not ready for a church. My attitude was not where it should be. So we sit there and they sing a couple of songs in Chinese, and one lady gives a testimony, and just a very simple, sweet testimony, and then it finally comes my time. So we're about 15 minutes into this church service, and then Mir turns to me and says, "Okay, Pastor, I'm going to interpret for you, and so it's your turn." And so I had my Bible with me, got out of my backpack, and I went to Psalm 119, and I said, "Have any of you ever hidden God's word in your heart? It's so important that we read the Bible." I'm sounding very spiritual. I want you to know I was doing what a pastor should do. I was preaching the word, and I stopped and I said, "Have any of you ever memorized God's word?" And so she's interpreting, Mir interprets this, and so this Chinese lady, she goes on this wild rampage. I have no idea what she is saying, but she went on and on and on and on and on and on. Finally, there's a break. And I said, "Mir, what did she say?" She said, "Well, you asked if anyone had memorized any verses." Yes, I did. She said, she just quoted Matthew chapter 1. She wants to know if you want to hear her quote Matthew chapter 2. I said, no, that's fine. At that moment, I was so convicted. My tail was between my legs. I said, "Lord, I'm not worthy to even be here." The Lord allowed what happened the night before to humble me in a way I've never been humbled. Who did I think I was? Now here's the story. Today it's not this way. Every Chinese person can actually own a copy of the Word of God, and it's not illegal to do so. Back then, we were so far remote, and we were so far off of out in the country, they could not own a piece of the Word of God. And they had Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They had 4 books of the Bible. That's all they had. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in Chinese. They had cut the Bible into 4 books, and they had circulated that, and not knowing if they would ever get it again, they memorized it. I've never been so humbled, ever. I've never been so humbled as I was at that moment in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and God taught me a lesson. My attitude stunk. And who was I to think that I could approach the Word of God haphazardly? God, why did you allow me to go through this last night? And yes, I'm going to teach this word. And folks, our attitude, it makes a difference. No matter what we've been through, no matter how we think that this should have happened this way or that should have happened that way, when we approach our classroom, our attitude has to be right. And we need to adjust our attitude, understanding God's grace. And the thing is that so many times we don't guard our spirit, and we allow the influences of the world and we allow the influence of others to destroy our attitude, just like I did. I allowed my attitude to be rotten. But may I just say this, there's nothing that we cannot solve with God's help and a good attitude. There's nothing. There's nothing that we can't solve without God's help and a great attitude. What are our attitude? Our attitude of faith. We must have faith as we move through another Sunday school year. Our attitude toward change. There's some things that will change. There's some things that won't change. I don't imagine your pastor's going to announce when he gets back that we're going to change our Bibles and we're going to go to a new version. I don't imagine. I think that's probably settled here at the church. There's some things that aren't going to change. There's some things that aren't going to change. You are saved through faith, and it's not of works. So that's not going to change. Now, there may be some methods that change, but there's some things that's not going to change. But we have to understand that sometimes we may need to change the color of the paint or the color of the carpet or the color of the pews or the type of tracks that we use. But our attitude toward change, I think sometimes we get so caught up in our details, our opinions, that we allow it to hurt our attitude. Now, when I was telling my story about China, every one of you were listening. Every one of you can be that same kind of teacher. That voice inflection, knowing your material, believing in your material, believing in what you're teaching, you can have the same impact, whether it's 4 or 40. If your attitude's right. Adjust your attitude. And then finally, aim for excellence in everything you do. Aim for excellence in everything that you do. Goal setters are picture painters. Goal setters are picture painters. Many of you have heard of Thomas Kinkade. Of course, he was from California. Some of you probably have a Thomas Kinkade or some type of artwork or something, a coffee mug or something by Thomas Kinkade. He's a real interesting, it's a real interesting study. Thomas Kinkade, he grew up as what we call a latchkey child. That means that his mom and dad weren't home. He came home from school and the house was always dark. If you look at all of Thomas Kinkade's paintings, every one of them, no matter if it's at nighttime or even in the middle of the day, the lights are always on in his house. It's a very interesting study when you study Thomas Kinkade. Tragically, he took his own life with a mixture of alcohol and drugs, and it's very sad how his life ended up. But he was a picture painter. Every time you stand in the classroom, you are painting a picture. You're painting a picture about God. You're painting a picture about God's grace. You're painting a picture through your words. You are painting pictures. And I think we ought to aim for excellence. I had the opportunity to walk through the church yesterday, and I love to look for new ideas. I love how crisp and sharp your auditorium looks. It's been well done. And aim for excellence, whether it's printed material, whether it's your lesson, whether it's your handouts, everything we do, we ought to aim for excellence. And you are painting a picture that begins today. I trust that when we leave here today, we will understand that we are painting a picture. How do you picture your class? Paint the picture. How do you picture your music? How do you picture your children? How do you picture every area of your life? Aim for excellence. And so I ask you, do your actions build faith or do your actions destroy faith? What do your actions say? If we were to do an evaluation of you, what do your actions say? Do you have the positive attitude? Are you aiming for excellence in everything that you do? I trust that is the case. Now my time is almost up. And I have to finish, and then I'll head back to Tucson, and I'll be preaching tomorrow in Tucson in my church. But I want to end with an illustration that involves every single one of us. And if you'd be kind enough to put up your notes and your Bible and set those things aside, I'd like to invite the 4 guys that helped me, only this is a very serious illustration. I'd like to invite the 4 guys that helped me earlier to come back up here, and they're going to help me with an illustration that's not funny, but that will help all of us. We say we're a team. A team has to work together. There's a coach, there's assistant coaches, and there's players. But what is also in the stands? Spectators. In this church, you have all 4 of those. You have a coach. Who's the coach? Pastor Murphy. You have assistant coaches. You're the what we would call the hired staff of the church. Then you have players. Everyone in here is a player. By you being invited to this, you're a player. Now, some of you may be sitting on the bench watching others, but I would like to say, I'd like to encourage all of us that we are all on the field playing. Now, for those who do not understand football, there's a 53-man roster. But actually, the statistics are a little bit better. There's 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense, and then you have special teams. So within that, you have 3 even teams within a team. But so that's around 33 players. That means there's still players that never get into the game. I don't want to be a player that never gets into the game. I want to be in the game. When my number's called, I want to be in the game. I want you to be in the game. But you understand, we're a team. If one person doesn't do their job on offense or defense, the other team wins. May I use the word enemy? Now, not enemy in the sense that we hate those people, but in the spiritual life, we have an enemy. Who's our enemy? Satan. He's real. His influences are real. And Satan wants to destroy us. So, let me give you an illustration. Guys, if you don't mind, link arms here for me. There you go. All right, hold on to each other here. Okay, now here's what happened. I want everybody to see this. We're a team. Every one of us are on the team. Now, what is your name? Seth. Seth, I want you to help me here. Seth, you guys holding on to Seth here? All right. Seth, just let your knees go. Just there you go. Is Seth still on the team? Did he fall down to the floor? No. All right. So Seth tried to, just, hey, great way to go, guys. All right. So Seth's on the team. He had a rough spell. There's something that happened in his life. And we don't know what it is, but you know what? The team would not allow Seth to fall down. Now, if you two would just kind of be loose there, you're not really doing your job, and then you can let your knees go. And then if you just come sit here for a minute. Okay? Seth, he fell. The other 2 team members didn't do their job. What do you see here? A gap. I know oftentimes we go to Nehemiah, but that's not for my purposes here. We have a gap in our team. Who can come in the gap if there's no one here? Satan. Satan wants to destroy. Now, here's the problem. Seth has fallen by the wayside, right? Seth is no longer in the picture. He's gotten discouraged. He's quit. He's been that family that for 2 years decided they were just going to take a sabbatical from church, if you will, and only come occasionally on Sunday morning. And they have lost their teenage son through this process. Seth has fallen by the wayside. Now, and your name is? Mark. Mark is now trying to carry the load, but Mark has a little difficult time. Now, Mark, what if your knees fall? Wait a second. Can you see what's going to happen is there's going to be a domino effect. Every one of you are important to this team. Every one of you. Now let's all stand together and let's form a circle and let's all link arms here this morning. Some of you just come forward. We can do one. We'll just do a circle here through one of the rows and everyone come and be a part of this. So just come down through one row here. We'll form a circle. So someone come down right through here. Come on down and form a... All right. Is our circle going to reach? No? All right, we have to come forward one more row. Then we can make it reach. Come on in here. Thank you for indulging me here for a moment. All right. This is your team. And every one of you are dependent on someone else. And so, Seth, since we used you, we'll have you go ahead and step back again. Everybody can be strong on the team. Everyone. This side of the team is strong as it can be, but somehow we got a team member here that's fallen by the wayside. And then what happens is it's easy for who to come through that? Satan, or his influences, or his waves of discouragement, because Seth fell or the other two didn't hold him up. It's not just that Seth fell, it's that the two guys didn't hold Seth up. We have to hold each other up. As a group of teachers, there's going to be times of discouragement. And when one of the team members is discouraged, it's up to you to encourage the other person. It's not like, oh yeah, they had it coming. It's not to get down on them. We must help our team. Okay, Seth.
Back in, brother.
Amen. Welcome back to the team, sir. Don't allow there to be a gap in your team. And may this physical reminder remind all of us that as a team we work together. Do you realize the teacher of 4-year-olds is just as important as the teacher of the 40-year-old? The teacher of the 70-year-olds is just as important as the one who's watching the 7-month-old. Every person is important. Every single one of us are important. And I just want to challenge all of us, don't allow the person on your right or your left to fall. Don't allow them to slide away. You make sure that we stay strong.